What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? My name is Jade, and this is the Here Is What We Know podcast, episode 19. Thank you, chatbot, for reminding me of the number. Simon, how are you doing, mate?
Oh man, I'm doing well. It's been an action-packed weekend for myself. Bit of golf, bit of surfing, bit of MMA. Not myself, but watched a little bit of it today. It's been a good weekend full of sports.
Awesome.
How about yourselves?
All is well. Hannah, how are you?
All is well, thank you. Great day, sun shining, and it's lovely to be here.
And of course, we are live on Twitch and DLive, so please feel free to leave your comments in the chat. We will be able to respond to those. But before we get into the business today, I just want to give a couple of minutes to Hannah just to address some of the events of last week.
How kind, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Well, it's I really do appreciate those who follow us and do take time to watch us. So last week, I do not want to be a drama queen ever, okay? But to let you know,
Lies.
last week I was thinking and concentrating so hard on what I was going to say and not muck it up. I then went and had a seizure. Now that is not unusual for me, okay?
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's not unusual for Hannah to have a seizure.
Oh, great singing there, Simon.
Thank you.
And this has been going on for you for quite some time.
Yeah, no, it's... I won't say how many years, but many years since I was a child. I'd give away how old I was. I've had a range, and I've had a different lots of different types of seizures, and I don't get any warning signs, which is... A lot of people do get warning signs, and a lot of people actually get for people who have epilepsy and seizures, they will have little things. They might get smells that might trigger them to think of that they're going to get a seizure, a sound. Some people get buzzing noises in the air, but no, I don't. And I've had lots of different ones and lots of kind of awkward ones and interrupting sentences. I will then make up sometimes sentences that will kind of seem like I'm talking some sense, but it will have no relevance. I've also had seizures where I've started laughing, but my one that I had the other week is where I literally fell off my chair and made a big scene, but no. I was fine very quickly, and I felt really bad that I missed it and interrupted the conversation, so I'm all good.
Yeah, I think the question on top for everyone that would have seen that though is, are you okay and did you require any treatment?
Yeah, so Jade is my number one supporter, and he knows me so well now, and he knows my kind of seizures, that where it's going to be the stage of, am I going to be okay or am I not? And I've been fine the whole time, and it looks worse than it is, but I'll be fine very quickly now. So.
And I just wanted to give that space because I want to assure people that while it looked like we kind of contained the issue and carried on with the show, Simon and I, as good friends of Hannah, are deeply concerned for her health, but we do know the ins and outs probably more intimately than most.
And I literally, to let you guys know, I literally was so annoyed. I literally came around and I was sitting on the couch, and I thought, hold on, I was about to say something. Are we still streaming? What's happening? And that was the only point when I realised that I must have had a seizure. So I felt really bad, and always love having conversations with you guys, so thank you.
So Hannah does have a contribution for us at the top of the show. Hannah, you're going to talk about gas prices and then leave Simon and I to it, aren't you?
Yeah.
But before that, as always, the question of the day. I get really excited about these. May I say, Simon, it's getting harder and harder to think of good ones because we've had so many. So I'm needing to do more and more research, getting more and more philosophical over time. But for today, is New Zealand still a Christian, faith-based country? Is New Zealand still a Christian, faith-based country? Now, I'll be honest with Simon and let him know that I actually gave Hannah a preview. Not sure why I allowed that this week, but I did. Hannah, did you want to have a go first?
Only a few minutes before we went live, though.
Yeah, still.
Yeah, no. Excuse me, guys. It's an interesting one. It is some people would say yes, but I'm gonna say faith is a hard one, so can we really put it on our country anymore? It's not just a small country anymore, and we've got a lot of diverse cultures that have come to New Zealand with different races.
Oh, hold on. So what do you mean? You can only be faith-based if you're a small country?
No, I'm saying specifically one kind of religion, so we don't just have Christians in New Zealand.
Ah, yes, I see where you're going, because you're trying to cover the Christian bit of what I said, okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't think that we can say that we are focused on one religion anymore.
Yep. So, yes or no?
No, I don't think so anymore.
Mr. Anderson, is New Zealand still a Christian, faith-based country?
I think what I'm about to say is what you wanted Hannah to, I guess, expand on based on what you were saying. But yeah, I want to take what Hannah says and say, no, it's not a Christian faith-based country, because it's not Christian nor faith-based. Like, for a country to be based on a faith, it would need to have similar principles and values and culture structures and rituals and traditions that relate to their values. But New Zealand doesn't really have a monotonous culture or religion or set of values across the whole population. So I wouldn't say we're Christian or faith-based as a country. We've got some sort of values. I mean, there's a good portion of the country that want us to be very communist-based, and then there's another part of the country that want us to be extremely independent and quite republic in nature. So I don't think we could say we were Christian or faith-based at all.
Okay, so staying with that for a second though, Simon. So in New Zealand, it's still a requirement to swear on the Bible. When you go to a court or make any statements in front of a judge.
I guess I forgot to qualify my statement with saying this is my feeling of the general population, not what was written into law. I should have said at the beginning. I don't know whether how intertwined New Zealand law is with faith at the moment, but yeah, I feel like it's a bit of a tick box exercise.
And that might be exactly where I'm heading. So for me, you know, New Zealand is structured as a Christian faith-based country, but I feel like over the last 10, maybe even 20 years, we've done quite well to erode those values. I want to start by pointing to, some of the laws around parenting. Obviously, that's very on top for me as a father of a young child. The welfare system in New Zealand heavily favours single households. Layer that with the fact that the family court heavily favours mothers for some reason, I just don't think those are only two examples, but based on those things, I don't think it's very Christian also adding in that in New Zealand, you can stay on welfare as long as you've got a child under 5. So what that does is that encourages so-called single women to continue having children with random men, or the same man that apparently doesn't contribute, live in the house, or set the values for the children. So for me, definitely not Christian, faith-based. I mean, I'd love to get some spiritual leaders on the show to have a real deep down chat about that, but I'd need to be convinced that we're even remotely faith-based right at the moment. I think the thing that we do around the Bible and the court is a little bit of a farce at this stage. Any additions there, Simon?
No, I think you've rounded it off pretty well there, Jade. I think, yeah, it's a sad state of affairs, I guess, with the considered appropriate cultural window of behavior, like in terms of beliefs and economic policies and things like that. It's just really weird. And I definitely think the people at the top are perhaps compromising New Zealand's best interests for some other people's.
Like, you obviously knew about those welfare ones, though, right? Like the drive to ensure women stay as single as possible for as long as possible. You know about all that.
Well, yeah, I guess it's kind of intentional because it creates weak family structures, and then because single mothers are beholden on the state, so then they're quick to adopt the policies and the behaviors that the state deems acceptable because they need the money, and then you have those kids growing up in that household that perpetuate that, and go to public school, get the same programming, and just cycles on. People dependent on the state.
Last thought on this, and then we'll move into your story. Anything you want to add, Hannah?
No, I think I really respect what both of you said and agree with you, and I see that maybe we could do a bit of a shake up with having I'm not going to say faith-based, but more of a general sense of values-based. So we're not dismissing one religion over another, but actually being clear on what Aotearoa and the community need and want, and how do we deal and manage.
Thanks so much, Hannah. And we are now going to go into the first story of the day, which will be Hannah's. And I'm going to be particularly on my best behavior, considering our episode last week got deleted by Twitch. Still don't really know why that is, but yeah, I'm going to try my darndest not to tell the truth this episode. Anyway, Hannah, over to you.
So, not that it's uncommon right now that petrol prices are inflated and high. Now, all around the world, their petrol prices are being raised, and it was quite interesting this week. Our Prime Minister actually said, due to the war, this is the reason why petrol prices have been inflated, and that's why this happened. Now, the thing is that it was put to our Prime Minister by the opposition that, what about we remove petrol taxes? Now, right now...
Can we pause on that one? So, Simon, do you have views? Do we pay too much in petrol tax? Let's start there before Hannah goes into the full thing.
I know, I was trying to explain about
over half of the price of the petrol at the pump is tax.
Yeah.
Somewhere between 50 and 55, I believe, maybe higher, depending on the petrol.
So to let you know, it is what I was going to tell you is it is 45%. 40% is for the cost of fuel, and 15% is for the station to actually make a profit. So
Sorry, run that profit margin by me again.
15%. So,
Whoa, that's deep, bro.
So
All
all
right.
good.
All right. Apologies, everyone. Hannah, you were saying about the tax.
So it's 45% of the cost of petrol, and also where we live in Auckland has at least 10. There's at least 10 cents or more added on to the cost of petrol for Aucklanders.
Regional
I thought it
fuel
was-
tax.
I thought it was 50 plus. Yeah.
Oh no, there's the 45%.
And is
For
that in Auckland?
And then on top of that, there's just 10 cents on top of that.
Yeah.
That compared to the smaller regions, we will have 10 cents more or less, and that was projected before the increase. So the question that was put to our Prime Minister was by the opposition, how about remove the 45% of fuel tax for the time being? And she said, no, that will have implications. Now, I've got an interesting fact for you.
Of course it will, love. That'll mean you'll have less money.
I've got an interesting
So does
fact for
borrowing
you,
all the
though.
money for the COVID response.
I've got an interesting fact though. So last year, I believe, roughly this is. So last year the fuel tax income from last year was $512 million. Now only half of that has actually been spent. So she still wants to say no, doesn't matter if it's for a short time, and it is not even being proposed, whereas our opposition party is saying, how about for a short time, how about a way to think of the community? And she's trying to say, well, the government is planning programs for end of next month, hoping that we can do this, that and other, and this is also meaning that we're still going to have these high price of fuel for at least a month, and how will that affect low income workers, whereas the opposition is trying to say we can do something straight away, remove fuel tax for across the country. And
Yeah, why don't we treat the gas tax like the health order, Simon? Why don't we just like willy-nilly just make it lesser and lesser every week as we see fit? Like they do with the health orders. A little bit here, a little bit there, change this, change that. Fuckwits.
Just have a couple amendments.
And literally the thing was, they're saying, oh, well, she also was saying, we can't do that because what happens, because that money goes towards our roads, most of the expensive roading is Auckland, we can't have the rest of the country pay for Auckland. Well, how about you just have someone actually concentrate on the needs, and you've still got excess money from the fuel tax. How about think of, and other countries have also proven that they've taken away fuel tax for the time being.
Which countries?
Europe and
No,
countries do
I
that?
think it was Ireland.
Ireland. Okay.
Yeah, they actually did, bro. Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
on them.
Yeah, I'll say. Real talk.
So it works out to be about 20 cents in NZ dollars.
The benefit of having a blind lady on the show is that like her research for the show is not really secret because her iPad reads it all out, so I can just peek into what Hannah's reading. So that's amazing. Hannah, so you've given us the lowdown. What are your views?
So just, one of the headlines was, "Oh, sorry about it, there's not much that the government can do for you." Now, that's literally one of the headlines, and I'm thinking, well, you're supposed to work for us, lady, and you're supposed to work for the community. What can you do? She wasn't even providing that answer, and, and also saying, oh, well, this is because of what's going around the world, and it's affected all around the world. Well, how can you make things change for our city and for our country because of inflation and rising housing prices? She was like, oh, don't know what to do. So I just was really disappointed with the way that things are treated, and I think it's really hard for people, right now, trying to pay for your fuel. A lot of people, I'm hearing, suddenly are paying $200 to fill up their car, and they were not paying anywhere near that. And they can't just be putting in the odd 20, and it's just not going to get them far, so it's hard.
The question I wanted to ask, and I don't really know how to explore this, but maybe Simon has. Is this all relative psychological stuff, though? Because there was a point in time where gas was like 10 cents a litre, and I remember when it went up to 15, not me, but I remember hearing a story about when it went up to 15 cents a litre, there was like this huge like outcry. But are people that like are shouting out about the gas price, do you think they simply don't understand how inflation works? And overlaid with that, could we say they also don't understand how quantitative easing works, Simon?
Yeah, I don't know if you can blame this price movement on that, though. You know what I mean?
Go on then.
Can I just interrupt you for a second? Sorry, Simon. I just want to let you know that the last time that New Zealand had high prices at fuel, it was 2008 when we had the incomes. Wall Street had their income and it dropped and crashed. Sorry.
The housing crash.
All right,
we're with you now.
So 2008, and that's what she was saying. Oh, well, it was high, not as high it has been, but that's when it. So she was trying to say, well, that was affected also.
I want to hear from Simon real quick before we move on. So Simon, you don't think we can blame it on inflation and quantitative easing?
Well, in terms of just the gas prices, right? Like that is because of the worldwide sanctions on Russia, and there's the COVID restrictions putting already some pressure on supply lines, which inflate the pricing because there's Omicron everywhere. But then also this latest move with Russia and Ukraine, all these countries, so like all of our major trading partners that we probably piggyback on oil orders and things like that, have stopped trading with Russia. So we have to adopt, like we don't probably get a say on where we get our oil from. We just end up having to do some sort of joint deal with Australia, probably to get to get boats to come to our country. So I would say that there's probably this bit of an inflationary correction in the dollar of the petrol, but I think a lot of this is because of what's happening overseas in the countries that have tried to cripple Russia.
Amazing. Hannah, thank you for your time today. We're going to release you so you can stay safe and well, and of course we hope you do.
No, thank you so much, everyone, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your stream, and I look forward to watching it back and hearing it all. But thank you, guys.
Awesome.
You have a great day.
And of course, our views are going to go down now because there's no titties on the stream, but never mind.
We're gonna have to get the hot tub out.
We'll keep going. Simon, you've got some pretty epic threads to walk us through, relating not just to Ukraine, but a general sense of, I would frame it as the New World Order.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a few people I've seen make the same sort of connection, but it's the same group of people that are pushing the COVID narrative, that are the ones that are most vocal against Russia. So if you have any sort of doubts about the aims of the people responding to COVID and the people in power for these Western countries, they're all now unanimously and uniformly, all together repeating the same messaging, doing the same moves politically with sanctions, and even private businesses are coming in with removing their business from the country. But some of them have been called out for their quite hollow moves. Lots of companies actually do very little trading in Russia that are from the West. They're too tight, and they don't make those connections. So it's actually a bit of a hollow gesture. Some of these companies saying that they're pulling their support from Russia, but it's still, all it's doing is hurting the Russian people. So I mean, there's more to the conflict than what is the mainstream narrative about Russia just destroying Ukraine.
We've got Clive Bixby in the chat on Twitch saying, weak men cause hard times.
Yeah, the full quote, right? Like, strong men create good times create weak men create hard times, and hard times create strong men. So I guess this thread is from somebody who, what you'd call, I guess, he would probably consider himself a bit of a self-improvement guy, but he's also been pretty accurate with some of the stuff he says in terms of the public events that unfold or have unfolded last year and this year. But if you just scroll down to the next thread.
Yeah, one sec. What I was actually going to do that's a little bit different, because this is a thread, I thought I'd drop it in the chat so people can follow along as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Can you see that okay?
Yeah. So what does that say? So, yeah, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa will be switching onto a SWIFT alternative. So SWIFT is like this international banking framework and protocol that all of these countries use to help with international transfers. You'll have like a SWIFT bank number and things like that. And they threatened Russia with removing them, and I guess Russia had already thought of that as a no, they didn't. They got the advance word, didn't they?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure in the comment above, in the tweet above, it talks about how America told Russia, and then America told China, and then China took it to Russia, or a different thread. But oh no, scroll down. Must be in a different thread. But this guy's talking. So Sunday, meaning American time. So tomorrow for us. Yeah, he's just talking about keeping an eye on the markets. Yeah, I mean, on what he's talking about Friday being the power of the petrodollar begins to wane. You could probably check it out, see if it's already started happening. But I mean, I feel like the other threads are probably more interesting than this one. This one's just some, speculation about what's happening.
Have you got another one for me? Did I miss it in the prep for the show? Sorry, Simon.
Oh no, oh, no.
Yeah.
When you replied asking me to cover something, I thought it was a different thread you were talking about that I had open, ready to go. But um,
Send it to me.
uh,
We can do that.
oh no, it's all good.
Yeah.
If you keep going down, I'm sure there's probably some more gold to talk about. Yeah. So what is he saying? Talking what to expect in the coming days. Panic across all markets. Cyber attacks primarily focus on energy, food, finance. Liquidity dries up. Food and energy explode upwards, and talking heads freak out as the Great Reset derails. Boris, Macron, Trudeau's the All World Economic Forum leaders
Sorry.
get extremely nervous. So we're talking about all these people in charge who are trying to change the world into a more uniform global unit. It's a bit of a transition period coming up. They provoked Russia into this conflict.
What does that mean for a simple black guy like me? That what does that mean that Russia
Well,
was provoked?
so Putin did like a 40-plus-minute video broadcast before any of this happened and pretty much laid out exactly why he's doing this, and basically just to condense it. I mean, I think we've had some people talk about it, but 2014, the CIA helped install the leader that they wanted by funding the Azov Battalion, which is a Nazi group, to overthrow, well, not to overthrow, but to help get this person in power. And then pretty much ever since then, they've been they've had like free reign to abuse and kill the ethnically Russian people of like Eastern Ukraine, and the people that live there have been begging for some help, and nobody's been helping them. It's basically they've been made similar analogies between the US and what's happened in the Middle East, and how the US would enter into other countries and say that they needed to save the local people from evil forces, So, but except with America, they have no claim to the ethnic group that they're trying to protect. Whereas with Russia, these people are Russians and need their help, but are living in Ukraine and are getting killed by racist Nazis. And so that's what Russia's tried to come in and stop that from happening. And then obviously the USA and all the NATO partners are doing everything they can to prolong this war and make it as bad as possible to try and make this world war. So that's what I think is happening in this thread, is he's talking about some of the things that Russia and these other countries are trying to do to counteract what the West is doing.
That's amazing. And I heard this morning on the news, like I've got all these alerts set up to help me have better and better shows. I heard that the Middle East is actually in support of Russia right at the moment, and then my brain goes to, well, didn't the US install the Taliban essentially?
Yeah, and they left them like $80 million worth of hardware as they left.
So what does that mean?
More, I think.
What does that mean?
What do you mean?
Like is this all like, I don't know how else to put it, but is this all like a circle jerk? Where you're being like distracted from the fact that the US are actually in a roundabout way responsible for everything? I mean, I might be way off base, but you tell me, Simon.
I mean, kind of. The thing is that the US is said to have kind of done the bidding of Israel's, but you can't really talk about that too much, otherwise you get called anti-Semitic. But like, yeah, pretty much, it's just coincidence, I guess, that a lot of the conflicts that America get into have been beneficial for Israel. But yeah, I mean, you're right. These conflicts in the Middle East, what the US have gotten involved into, and in Africa with Libya, they 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 support this grassroots movement with guns and overthrow uh, the leader, and then when that group's in power, they need to go and free the country from that evil force that they helped create and they helped fund. They've done it in South America, they've done it in the Middle East, and now they're trying to say Russia is doing something far worse when in reality it's not even as bad in some cases to what they've done in the Middle East. I don't even know the death total of people in Ukraine. It's hard to know because of the propaganda that's going on. But in the Middle East, that the media aren't covering, American bombs are being dropped on people. Is that okay? But the Russian bombs are hitting Ukraine, and that's the worst thing ever. And it has what Russia has done is apparently so terrible that it requires the whole world to unite against them and disproportionately hurt just the average everyday Russian, and then extra disproportionately go after just the rich Russians that are associated with Putin. And it is true that Russian country, like other countries that are run similarly, all of the businesses are Russian, businesses. There's very little separation between the
State owned, you mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, even if they aren't, state owned by name. And so you definitely can't be well off and powerful in Russia without being good mates with Putin. So, there are probably true claims to these people that are linked to Putin and maybe supporting him or whatever. They might donate to his party and things. But if they're trying to freeze the assets, and you see the hit pieces in the New Zealand newspapers about the Russian citizens that live in New Zealand and their assets, and just kind of floating the idea of should they be frozen, just because they've been proven to support Putin and Russia.
We were talking about this because we casually prepare for the shows over the week in the DMs, and I asked you the question, why have we never sanctioned America for going to war?
Yeah, I've got no idea. Like, they lied about weapons of mass destruction and killed millions of people, based on lies. It's not a conspiracy or anything like that. It's proven fact that they lied about weapons, and they invaded other countries around the country they lied about. And they've had soldiers in the Middle East since, well, for close to over 30 years, maybe from the 80s through to the maybe close to 2020. So yeah, a long time.
And just over here, Simon, I've got your other link. I don't know if we want to play this video, but did you want to speak to it?
Yeah, we can just kind of talk to it. We don't need to play it, I guess.
Yeah.
But so this video is a Russian guy basically talking about intel and information that they've received, and it talks about the biolabs that America fund in Ukraine, especially in Kiev, lots in Kiev. But yeah, so there's basically a while ago when this whole Russia conflict was starting to bubble, there were people getting called conspiracy theorists for talking about the US having labs in Ukraine. That was something that was discredited, and then what that tweet there says talks about Newlands. That's the last name of a senator or some American politician, but she admitted in an American committee or meeting or hearing or something, under oath, that that America has research biolabs in Ukraine, and that they were working with the Ukraine officials to secure the the pathogens and or to destroy them so that they didn't fall into Russian hands. And then she immediately says, but if there is to be a bio attack it's the Russians. It's standard Russian tactic to accuse the other person of something that they're going to do, which is, you know, what you just finished doing, right? If you think about it, she just said, "Oh, by the way, if anything happens, it's the Russians because, you know, that's their tactic. They 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 blame somebody else for what they're about to do. So I'm blaming the Russians for what we're about to do, but, you know, that's not what I'm doing, right? No, we're the good guys."
Now,
But
I've got to be honest with you. It took me all week to get my head around this one. Still kind of maybe not quite there. So are we saying, for people at home, you know, talking to them straight, are we saying that the US is working with the Ukraine to potentially, let me use that word clearly, potentially develop bioweapons?
well, yeah. So it's in standard operation for the CIA to extend their reach through private businesses and specifically non-government organizations through contracts. You know, so there is a huge concentration of American NGOs in Ukraine, and there is a history of some large donations from America to Ukraine for research. And these labs do bio, well, not bioweapon research, but, you know, they do gain of function, which is just a polite way of saying bioweapon research, because you're trying to enhance pathogens genetically. So that's been happening all over Ukraine, and potentially that could be the source of the pandemic too that Bill Gates warned us about back in the start of COVID.
I don't know if this has been in the scope of your assessment of all this, so let me know. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but have you noticed any movement in the financial markets surrounding companies like Pfizer and the like?
I haven't seen it myself, but people have commented on Twitter that I've seen talking about the insurance companies getting wind of things, and that's kind of triggered some uncertainty in the stock of some of these companies. So, you know, in that we'll probably skip past it, but in that Twitter thread you first showed from me, it talks about shorting the Pfizer and Moderna stock and things like that, because it'll take us a drop. So it's a good way to make some money off it.
Yeah, if only I even knew how to short stocks. Maybe that's something we got to learn, Simon.
I mean, the simple definition of a short is the opposite of a long, but it's options trading, really. So what you're doing is you're betting on a future outcome. So you say, you know, by this date, the price of a share is going to decrease to this value, or it's going to increase to this value. And if you're right, then you get, I guess, a bigger return on your investment than if you would just to try and buy shares and sell high when you get it. So yeah, shorting is when you're saying you're betting on a stock performing really badly, and then longing it is saying, yeah, I think it's going to improve and it's going to get better, and I'm going to buy shares at this price. It's like you're setting a future price, or you want to buy the shares. Yeah, but it's what happened with GameStop. So, you know, with the whole GameStop thing.
Yep.
Those big venture capital firms were shorting GameStop, and then that guy got on there and was like, hey, let's just stick it to these guys. You know, I like GameStop. We can just all buy into it and just screw these guys over. They're hugely overinvested in it, and then it all kind of happened from that. But yeah, so that's what I meant by shorting.
Fun fact, I know somebody that made $40,000 cash on the short of GameStop. I only learned about their adventures recently, but $40,000 pure cash.
If Inland Revenue's listening, no, you don't.
No, they paid tax. It was all legit. That's tax paid. 40,000.
Oh, nice. That's good. That's a good little penny. Shining little penny.
So what's the like these are some epic threads, Simon, and I spent time with them, but not as much as I would have liked to. So what's your little tidbit or your takeaway for people at home?
Okay, I guess it's like an evolution of what I said earlier in saying, well, everybody in the COVID narrative is all against Russia. To kind of go further on that, Russia has spent the whole time taking COVID seriously, and I guess putting in the same things in place like mandates and passes and things like that. So maybe they are kind of all buddies behind the scenes, and this conflict in Russia and Ukraine is grossly overstated. I mean, that's if you're not actually taking the time to look for authentic grassroots people in Ukraine, you've got really no idea of what's going on because you're getting a slanted perspective. But there's, you know, they're talking about big major cities under bombs day and night, but you know, I've seen videos of people just walking the streets and old people walking their dogs, and all you hear is the occasional siren, but you know, there's no actual gunfire or bombings going off. It's I think it's a little bit theatrical, and I'm not trying to be insensitive because I'm sure there are actual conflicts that are happening within Russia within Ukraine, between Russia and Ukraine, but I also think there's Ukraine citizens killing other Ukraine residents, at least, if not citizens, excuse me, that identify as Russian but live in the Ukraine area. There are Ukrainians that identify as Nazis, you know, trying to kill these people at the same time.
That is amazing, and it's obviously a story that will continue to cover as the war continues. But I'm just mind blown at the various different things that are cropping up behind the scenes, and the different levers that are at play with people that seemingly, and I use that word very intently, have nothing to do with the war right at the moment. Now,
nothing to do with it.
Now, in the interest of, you could say, soft landing for the show, this was kind of picked up in Hannah's story, but I wanted to have a chat a little bit about inflation, and in my exploits I found this story by Stuff, where they got two admittedly politically leaning economists to have a chat.
Leaning which way?
Left and right. One each.
Oh, right, one each.
Yeah. So, in this article, it sort of talks to each of them about what the priority should be. I'm not going to go into a super amount of detail, as I said, soft landing, but the left-leaning economist was really pointing to initiatives like working for families, raising the minimum wage. I can't help thinking, though, Simon, that raising the minimum wage does literally nothing for the people that need it the most.
Well, I don't know. I mean, for people who can, I guess in their eyes, only attain a minimum wage earning job and just get by working as many hours as they could fit into their week, then raising the minimum wage, I guess, tries to at least ensure that they don't get their wage obliterated by inflation. I don't know. I mean,
no, but here's the thing. Like, I'd almost agree with you, and I had that view for a number of years when I was still a toxic leftist. I believe minimum wage was, raising it was a really good thing. Here's what happens though. If you raise the minimum wage, you just raise the bottom for everyone at the bottom. Newsflash, you're still at the bottom.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. So what happens?
But it's a battle between finding short-term solutions and creating long-term outcomes, I guess. You know, like if you did incentivize improving your wage earning ability above minimum wage by keeping it stagnant and low, then yeah, that's okay. But it also then screws over a lot of people who are stuck in a position where they're not likely to improve their wage earning ability before they die.
Cool. So then this article goes on to talk about, it points out National's income tax plan and how it's apparently not very good. I only have limited sort of understanding of it at the moment, but I understand that it talks about raising the tax bracket threshold, but analysts say that that would only benefit the people at the very top, and getting $2 extra a week won't make the most difference. On the right, they are saying that it would be a significant benefit to get rid of taxes related to fuel, and at the moment I would tend to agree.
Get rid of GST or drop it. It's another one that they always talk about. I mean, that's something that would greatly help the poor, or the poor, but the poorest of the country.
Did you
That's
say?
like a double tax.
Did you tell me that GST was actually installed as a war response fund?
It was in the States. I don't know if how accurate that is in New Zealand. I'd have to look it up, but yeah. That was what in America. That was definitely what income tax was for.
So I mean, this article goes on to talk about, you know, working for families and the fact that they're planning to increase that, and also initiatives that they're planning to raise the minimum wage. I wasn't necessarily aware of that, Simon, were you?
I'm sorry, I was actually just looking up the introduction of NZ's income tax. What was I aware of, sorry? Or what I be?
That there's going to be another increase to minimum wage.
Oh yes, yeah, I was aware of that just through the work that I do. Yeah, coming up very soon.
Yeah, awesome.
I've actually found some information, but essentially the introduction of income tax in New Zealand was due to the massive reduction in land value in New Zealand, and the government was relying heavily on the land tax as their source of income, and so they needed another source, so they introduced a company business and employment income tax.
Hold on, run that by me one more time. We had a reduction in land value in New Zealand?
Yeah, I guess this is talking about...
When was this?
We're looking at like the 18s.
1800, okay.
Yeah, 1800s.
Oh, well, that was a while ago, yeah.
The land tax, 1878. Income tax bill 1879. There you go.
That is amazing. What I haven't covered for people at home that are interested, particularly our overseas friends, I'm looking at an article which I'll include in the video on demand from Stats New Zealand. This was a release made on the 27th of January. 5.9% at the time of writing that, but I wonder, is it higher now, Simon?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
these are the only official numbers I could find at the moment.
Yeah. Our inflation, I guess, is a flow-on effect from the global economy. You know, we can't really perform too strongly if the rest of the world's doing poorly, and the majority of the world is also based off the American dollar, and you know, America has been just exponentially printing money in terms of, you know, multiple trillions of dollars. every year for the last couple of years, and so every other currency that kind of but does trade based on the US dollar is now going to have to drastically increase their prices because they operate in US dollar. That's why in that tweet, you probably didn't see that one, but they were talking about those countries trading in a different currency other than the US dollar, so like India, Russia, China, and those countries. So they're trying to trade in the ruble instead, because that's actually Russia's one of the only countries left with a decent sized gold store to back their currency.
Sorry to jump around topics on the show, Simon, but so if Russia and others are doing their own system, we didn't get to the point of what's it going to be based on. Like, how does that work if you do your own system?
Well, I'm not sure. I guess you make a closed off network, right, between those partners.
Oh, okay, yeah,
the
that's
country.
fair.
Yeah.
So it'll be a LAN party for global nations.
Yeah, for the people going against the New World Order as such. Yeah, they'll be making their own sort of private network / LAN party.
I like that concept. I really like it. Well, yeah. So inflation. I didn't necessarily want to bring it on the show, but apparently it's something that people are talking about, and I thought we'd dig into it and share our views. My view is, it's here for now, but knowing New Zealand, they'll find ways to get the interest rate really, really low so people can buy houses they can't afford. Any final thoughts on this, Simon?
Yeah, I mean, I have, I guess, supported the bans on more oil exploration off the west coast because of the fragile habitats of the animals that live there, and they're quite close to extinction. But we should probably think about whether that might be a smart option considering the instability of global oil, and maybe let's not close our only refinery in the country. It would probably be good to make sure that we could transport, a more of a raw resource and deal with it here, and then rely on other countries to refine our oil into the petrol products that we just then take straight to our petrol stations. So I mean, there's been a few key things that have happened to make our oil supply very fragile. Remember, there was that Marsden supply line that got clipped. I mean, the tinfoil hat wearer in me thinks, well, maybe was that connected to kind of further the agenda of closing down the plant. You never know. You'd think private contractor probably wouldn't be close to hitting the most important pipeline in the whole country. So I mean, I've never really looked into that, but it did seem a little bit weird at the time, and just thought some idiot. But maybe there was some further planning involved. But yeah, we
sorry.
Just I guess we're importing more coal now than we ever have to run it through Huntly for our power, because we stopped mining it. Stop mining as much of it. What's better for the environment? What's better for us?
It's interesting because I don't know why, but I've noticed that my YouTube has been getting a lot more ads from the coal lobby, and how they're saying, "Oh, coal's not that bad. We all need coal. Don't be anti-coal and all this." So yeah, I don't know much about it, but maybe that's a topic for another show there, Simon. The state of coal in New Zealand.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, coal in general is very divided topic. Some people, think it's some of the most filthy energy source that man's ever created, and some people say that it's a very cheap and relatively efficient fuel source for people who don't have much money. So yeah, who knows what the actual true situation is, but yeah, it'd be interesting to cover.
Top of mind for me as we move into final thoughts is I'd love to sit down when I have 5 minutes, God knows when that'll be, and do a bit of a calculation against buying a Tesla, at what point does the current situation with petrol actually make a $250,000 vehicle viable for the average person? I don't know if you've thought about that, Simon.
Well, I was having this conversation with my friends because, they're talking about the gas prices and, well, we should just do. Someone was saying, here's an unpopular opinion. The rising gas prices is good, because we need to switch off of using gas for our cars. And I was thinking, bro, the transition from a gas car to a electric car isn't the net positive for the environment isn't that great. Because the production of an electric car is a terrible environmental business. The lithium from the batteries is mined in the most, environment destroying way. And what sort of material is creating the energy for the electricity in the Tesla? Coal and nuclear reactors, and very little percentage of global power is from renewable resources. New Zealand is probably one of the leading, and still the vast majority of our energy comes from coal burning and gas burning, and I can't remember what the other one was, but yeah, not clean methods.
Yeah, no, because I was just joking around with Hannah yesterday, and I was like, "See, man, we should have bought a Tesla last year, and then none of this shit would be our problem." But no, you raised some really good points about Teslas not necessarily being the most environmentally friendly to produce. But I suppose I'm not talking about the environment anymore. I'm talking about people's pockets.
Oh yeah, well that too. So my friend sent me like a infograph, and it was based on the UK, but it said that at about like 80,000 kilometers or something like that, that a car becomes an electric car becomes more efficient or cost effective than a petrol car. I didn't really make sense of it, but it made it seem like over time, eventually, it does become more effective to have a electric car.
Oh, that's fantastic! So someone's already done it. So time versus money spent. So the crossover point is 80,000.
Well, that was like, yeah, and not a Tesla, and it didn't say anything about the model, but I'd assume it'd be some sort of very effective hybrid or electric car. Not
Nissan,
a Tesla.
Nissan Leaf. Nissan
Yeah.
Leaf.
Not a Tesla.
Oh, I hate those cars. Hey Simon, if you ever catch me in a Nissan Leaf, can you just shoot me in the head 3 times?
Yeah, and then just one more for good luck.
Yeah. Hey, this has been a really amazing show. Simon, thanks so much for being along. Did you have any final thoughts for the week wrapping up this episode?
Oh, well, it was good to actually pull through. We thought we'd lost it for a second there, so it was good to finish. And it was good to have Hannah back, for the first part. And it's been good to chat the shit.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. And ladies and gentlemen at home, we do have some very interesting guests planned. I've been very busy in the emails. I know you've seen those, Simon.
Yep.
So look out for those in the coming weeks. But I just want to remind everybody that we would really value your support in the show. So wherever you're seeing this video online, please like, subscribe, follow, whatever the button is advising you to do, hit the notification bell and all those good things. Thank you so much for being along. Please consider joining the Farrar Familia Discord. Details of that will be in the chat, so you can have real-time conversations with the team. We're all a part of that server. But for now, thank you for being a part of the channel. Thank you for being a part of the journey. Please stay awesome. And Simon?
We'll see you all in the next one. Boom.